When we realize we're stressed out, often we feel like we're a victim of some outside circumstance. There's something out there or someone that's causing us stress. But what if the real cause of our stress is simple exhaustion? We just need energy. And what if that energy were as easy to obtain as simply reaching out and receiving? Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Center of Calmness. And today we are super blessed to have Hamali Vora with us. Welcome, Hamali.
Hi, thank you so much. And I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. As we were discussing before the show, I'm 1 year younger, right?
That's right.
We're just running the aging process in reverse here.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now you're joining us from Maryland, right? Near Baltimore?
Yes.
All right, right where all the center of activity is, all the hubbub. New administration change, so there's no shortage of activity and action, and maybe a little bit of stress as well. Where you're at, would you say?
Yeah. I'm 30 minutes away from DC and 30 minutes from Virginia. So I'm in that DMV area, they call it.
The DMV, did you say?
Yeah, DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Oh, I got you. Okay, all right. So where you've got the 15-lane highways and all that good stuff.
It's not 15. I wish it was. The traffic is horrendous. It's picking up again. COVID time 2020, it was so nice to even go out and drive anywhere because there was hardly any cars. But
yeah,
this area is number 2 in the country for traffic.
Oh, I'm sure, right? And not number 2 in the number 2 or the 2 best places for traffic, right? Yeah, I remember driving around the Beltway in DC one time, or actually I think I was riding, and I was just amazed at the complexity of what it takes just to survive out there in your car, right?
Yeah.
Totally amazing. So certainly an opportunity for stress. But actually, Hamali, one of the first things I noticed about you when I first met you was that you don't seem stressed. You've got this radiant energy going on, and that's why I'm super excited that you're able to join me here at Center of Calmness, because I love to learn more about that. Were you born that way, or did you find your way through a journey to the point where you're able to be at peace and radiating such joy?
I guess we all are born that way, right? We have this joy in us, and it depends on our experiences, how slowly and steadily it kind of dims, our lights dim out. And if you ask my mom or anyone that I grew up around as a baby, I used to cry all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Until I was 5 years old. So I think I was overstimulated. And that's what it was, overstimulated and very sensitive person. Even as a kid, I could just feel energies probably. That's stress. Yeah, the stress and anxiety of my parents maybe, or people around me. And kids are so easy. They pick up all that. And I learned that with my son, that the more I would get really anxious and hyper and about going anywhere, the more stressful he'll get. And then that will slow our process down to go anywhere, right? We're always in a rush to go, take them to school, hurry up, I'm getting late for work, right? And he was someone that really taught me to just calm down, because if I hurry up and try to rush him, that's when it's going to take me longer. So I just needed to breathe, needed to be in the moment to really, and give him enough time to start, and then so that we're able to get out of the house. So, yeah.
What a powerful lesson, right? And from the individual that you might feel would potentially cause you the highest levels of stress, but only to realize that you're just passing it on to him, and then it's a bit of a vicious cycle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we've only been on the show for like 3 minutes. You've already dropped a powerful lesson there for all of us, just to be more sensitive and really more flexible, right? to allow and sense, the stress wave, and then respond to. Of course, stress is always going to be there, but
Yeah,
how we respond to it, and what we do about it, that's
absolutely.
most important. And we've actually got a few guests with us here joining us, including one of our familiar friends, Shelly Estroff. Hey,
Hi,
Shelly, great
Sally.
to see you.
Yes, thank you for waking up so early and listening to us. No
Uh-oh,
pressure.
we disrupted her sleep cycle today, right? But
Yes.
so glad you joined us, Shelly. Super glad you're here. So, yeah, if you started out really young, kind of in that super sensitive mode and absorbing that stress, how did maybe if you could just kind of take us through the journey of kind of how you developed some of the capabilities that you have, and reached the point where now you're actually not just managing your own stress and radiating all that joy, but you're actually helping others reduce their stress.
Well, I wouldn't say, now that I look back, right, into my childhood, that I can say that whatever it was, right? So I was just very sensitive, very observant. And so that, the kid that asks why, I want to know everything, right? I'm just very curious about everything. And why do people do what they do, right? And so, but then even religious, I was very keen about knowing, why are they following this? Why are they doing this? What did this mean? But I was always shut down, and I was criticized a lot. And so I was this very um, shy, closed in, kind of very quiet person that sometimes you won't even notice is there in the room. That because I guess, these beliefs that come on you that, I don't matter, or I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, and things like that. But what that did to me, now that I look back, is that my other senses were very heightened, meaning my observation. I could see beyond what you see. So I could see people's gestures and what they felt. And it's like I felt them, what they were feeling, be it anything, so I could notice these intricacies, and whether they were genuine or not.
That's
um
very interesting. So, actually, from my point of view, that seems to me that you actually weren't shut down at all. That
right.
although perhaps what you intended to communicate was shut down, because as you were sharing your opinions, folks that thought differently were objecting to that, perhaps. But really, your energy was redirected.
Absolutely. And to be in that keen sense too, it's like um really seeing, and then taking lessons from these things, what I don't want to do myself. So, how parents tell you don't do this, and you're like, no, unless I experience it. I want to experience, I want to learn. I would be like, no, I don't want to do that, because I just watched these two people or this person do something which was harmful, not only to himself or herself, but to others. And so I don't want to do that. So it's kind of just being very observant on how life was, and, what it is. And I guess I didn't realize, and I didn't, and that's why maybe I never fit in anywhere, even in
Hmm.
friendship things. It was so much harder.
Interesting. So, high perception sensitivity, you feel perhaps harmed the development of some of those friendships?
No, I think that it was more that I was never in alignment with those people, those things. I did learn a lot of lessons through them. But it was more of, I think that energy wise, that, if I was in a relationship like friendships where we were similar, I think that I would have developed a little bit more. I don't know. So I had friends um, who would work out of the box, who were loud, and they get noticed. But here I am, this quiet person tagging
Right.
along with these rebels,
Okay.
girls, who are out there and having fun. So I think I lived through them, but yet I was just that person that would just kind of tag along. And those were the friends that I really had fun with.
No, I got you. Yeah, and that
Yeah,
makes total sense. So it's almost like a dichotomy, right? You enjoy being with them, but yet you wouldn't necessarily fully embrace the direction they were headed with,
yeah.
or even the style that they were utilizing,
I
the
think,
louder, more boisterous.
yeah, I think it's more of, that good girl. You can't do this, you can't do that. And like, oh my God, no, I can't do that myself, but I am living through them and I'm loving it. I'm enjoying my life. I'm really having fun.
That's very cool, right? So you
Yeah,
can maintain, and that's so important. You're maintaining your own style and your own way of life,
yeah,
and your sensitivities are not offended.
no,
But you're able to hang out with them and really enjoy the sharing of that experience. That's
right. I
super
think
cool.
somewhere along, my soul wanted to be freed and be that person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I imagine that eventually, over time,
Yeah.
as you allow more of that to release, that you did find your way there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So now, as you went in through your training, and you mentioned that you're into physical therapy and actually a very holistic health
Yeah.
type of collection of not just a collection, but an integration of different skill sets that you've developed over the years, and those that you help people with, other people with. How did you find your way toward setting all that up and taking that path through your training and also through your work?
Yeah. So I graduated from physical therapy 21 years ago. And when I was doing internship, we practice on each other and our classmates. And not only that, one of the internship, I was in a health south at like a outpatient clinic, where and I was in St. Petersburg, Florida, and one of my clinical instructor, he was a gentleman, and um, he would send me these people. It's hard to figure out, and so these ladies, older ladies, would come in with fibromyalgia, and at the time, it was considered as a psychological issue. And so, but I would actually, when I lay hands on them, I would feel warmth where they were hurting. And I would actually go exactly where it was hurting them. It's like a moving pain for them and things. And then I would just place my hands there. I would feel this warmth coming from my palm. And I would also, I would do some friction massage and a few things that they started coming back and asking for me to work with me. And I was like, and I would always feel like there's something in my hand. Like, why do I feel this heat? What's happening?
Interesting.
Yeah. So I had heard of Reiki. Um, my cousin had mentioned that this a person, I knew her. She lived right where my grandmother lived. Like, she was my grandmother's neighbor. And she did Reiki. And so I thought this was this Indian modality for healing. And then, that eventually I will learn that. I didn't learn that till 2014, I want to say. And I'm talking about 1999, that I had that experience. And then 98 when I was in school. Um, so but it's a Japanese form of healing, touch healing. And really what Reiki means is Rei is that universal and Ki is that life force, universal life force, light energy. Ki also in Chinese, it's Qi, and
Mhm.
we know Qi much more. In Sanskrit, it's prana, which is life force again.
Right.
So it's that same thing, that how um, we have this energy system in our body, and how we get pulled and pushed with these energies in our daily life, and what happens when it's stagnant in our body or in our surrounding. Because we're made out of water, right? And 60 to 70% of water, and we know outside that if the water is stagnant, what happens? You can have infection, you have these mosquitoes, you have all these things coming up. So what happens? This energy, or even the water that's stagnant in our body.
Sure. Yeah. It's a
Process
flow
illness.
situation, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now the chi or the ki I'm familiar with within the body. That there's a lot of folks that talk about that. But as I was just reading even last night, because my experience with Reiki is pretty much
Yeah,
negligible, right?
yeah,
Is that Reiki actually goes beyond
yeah.
your own. You're not really working with your own energy anymore, right? Could maybe if you could expand on that just a little bit?
So the thing is that we all are surrounded by guides, our own angels and guardian angels and things, and our ancestors, and you just have to ask them to help us. So even as I am doing a session and I'm helping someone, I'm just being a channel. Um, and what it is, it's them, they're helping themselves. And so what that is, that you just call upon that energy, and it's readily available. It's easy. It's just unlimited energy that's out there around us, and
I'm
we
sure.
kind
Yeah,
of,
even I mean, even if you don't or agree conceptually with the concept of the infinite,
yeah,
uh, even if you don't realize that, you certainly can realize that the energy without is going to be much greater than the energy within. Uh,
right.
that's self-contained in our own systems. Yeah, so that's very intriguing. And if I could ask, how was the process of finding this energy? Right, it's because it's one thing to learn about it, but it's quite another to experience it. How did you find that journey?
I went so many times, and like I said, I wanted to go to India or go to Japan and learn this from the masters, right? But it was never happening. And so one time I just went to a grocery store, just in and out. But they have those flyers when you get out, and sometimes they put it out there. And so I saw, and someone was offering a class like literally in 2 days. And I said, if I don't take it now, I'm never going to take it. And so, there are steps. There's Reiki 1, then there's Reiki 2. Reiki 1 is just the history and, hand placements, how to, just heal in the calmness, and how to invite that light, open yourself up so that you're able to receive. And then Reiki 2 has these 3 symbols that not only speeds up the healing process, it um, really helps you. Then there's distant Reiki, where I can actually send out Reiki through, from here to whoever is in India or anywhere else in the world. And distant could be your distant past, you're healing, trying to heal the past, or distant could be something in future that you've planned, and how you heal that. Um, yeah, so it's, and then there's master level Reiki. After 6 months, you can do that after you've practiced on yourself. And then there is Karuna Reiki. And there are different kinds of Reiki out there now. The main one is that Asui form that, I've learned. But I've also learned Holy Fire Reiki, which William Lee Rand has developed. So he brings in that little about um, Jesus Christ and Holy Fire and Holy Spirit, which Reiki has no religious connotation, but Jesus is his guide. And so I find that healing energy very profound, and
Neat.
yeah, and it changes and shifts things, So if you see, it helps with. So my whole goal was, because I used to get angry so much with my kids and everything. And I was just overwhelmed, stressed out, this constant fatigue, this adrenal fatigue, as a woman trying to do my work. I'm trying to take care of the kids, cook, all those things. My husband's very supportive, but he worked far, way out there in Virginia. So the traffic, he would be gone all day. And
And
so,
most of the night as well, probably, right?
yes. And so I
Yeah.
was just stressed out. Um, so I think that I said enough was enough for myself, that it's me who's doing this. It's not them. They're not the cause. You usually blame, oh, it's because the kids are doing this, I'm getting angry, right?
Right.
Blaming the outside and out there.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what, I'm going to take responsibility of who I am and start accepting myself, and then start changing. And so that's where I started, and things started shifting um, for me in terms of while I started doing that. And not only started bringing me, so my goal was to, you see this outside. Um, when you get, I'm an empath. And so I feel everybody's feelings and I feel it very deeply. And so, how do I manage to create boundaries around me? And also, how do I, like I said, I was this quiet person, this good girl who had to listen to everybody, please everybody. And so finally, things started shifting in terms of, well, why am I doing this? Why are my habits and patterns? So, kind of going to the root cause of things. Um,
Interesting. Right. So let me get this straight because there's a lot of moving parts here, right?
yes,
You've got this paradigm, right, that you want to be good. You're
yes,
an empath, so you're constantly being assaulted by emotional inputs from you. Probably even can feel what I feel right now, right? To some
yes,
extent, right? Whatever that is, but don't tell anybody.
yes.
Right? And you have built or had built I wouldn't say built up anger, but anger response to
Yes, yes.
various inputs and children and other circumstances. And then you found Reiki as a discipline, began studying it. So can you take us through the moment when all this came together and you had the epiphany of what it was that you were receiving?
Wow. I think it's Reiki works very gently. It meets you where you are and it takes you slowly. So there was a time where every time I would sit and do this Reiki meditation or Reiki on myself, I would go into this deep sleep. And I'm like, why am I sleeping? Even sometimes when people come and I do the session, they go into this deep sleep. And so what it does is it's really working at the subconscious level. It's really going deep in and clearing things, clearing and moving things around so that you are able to eventually work on these things. Like things will start coming into existence, into your awareness so that you can release it, right? Everything has to come out first. And um, so I used to really go into deep sleeps. I also started getting visions of, you know, sometimes you can't even make sense of. I would see a horse, or I'm riding a horse, or I would just see a horse moving, just the face. And I was like, am I sitting on the horse or am I looking from up front? It's like I'm doing both. How does that happen? So I would get into these trance mode, but I'm seeing these visions. And um, for example, anyway, so that was that one vision that I'm talking about. And then 6 months later, I make this friend and I go see her. I to her farm, meet her at the farm, and everything, she was showing, she's building this amazing retreat center and this beautiful farm, and she's showing us around. Here we were on the horse. I had forgotten about that vision of mine that had happened 6 months ago. And there were other ladies that, I had met them first time. They were also visiting like me. And, I was on a brown horse exactly like I had seen, and that green pasture all around me that I had vision. And so I was separate from everyone, and I was in that quietness and stillness. Something was happening with one of the horses there. And as the horse was kind of galloping, I'm like, that vision came into my existence. I had forgotten about it. Like, you are exactly where you're supposed to be.
How about that? And you had perceived and received this 6 months prior.
Right, right. And then
Wow.
that has happened to me few other times where I've seen a house and I was like, "Oh, is this going to be my house? My new house near the stream and mountains." And that's exactly what I want, with this beautiful tall windows and everything. And no, I visited a friend like 9 months later. and that was his beautiful house. And I was sipping on a water, but on a in a cup, and that's what I was doing in my vision. And so that's one of them. And so starting to accept my so there is so much power in you. So you see that light and see that power. And sometimes that scares, at least it scared me, and it scares a lot of people that, wow, this is like you get this vision of who you really are, you know, and what can you do really? You have the power, and it's everything good, has nothing to do with bad energy or
Right.
anything. You do protect yourself from those energy attacks and things, but that knowing that, that grounding and balancing inside, so it doesn't matter what happens outside of you. Just like a tree, it's rooted down in the ground, and so no matter what storm comes, it sways. So you go, but you come back to that, you back to that steady, that
Of course.
top.
Yeah, back to the center, back to the place it's supposed to be. Yeah, and the way I think of it is that it's only the flow of the nutrients in the sap that allow that to occur, right? Because otherwise, with no flow, the tree is dead, and it'll actually snap.
Exactly. It will snap, yeah. So
Yeah,
if there was no flexibility in that,
yeah,
so yeah,
from the
absolutely.
flow, and
Yeah,
that's analogous to the energy that you're talking about.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when since you mentioned it from the point of view of discovering a personal power, and as
yeah.
you became more proficient with the Reiki and other things, what did you discover? What is the personal power that you found for yourself?
Your personal power. Um, well, first of all, it was really, so first I was shown the light. It's like my visions were like, I'm in this dark tunnel, and then I saw that light. So my goal was to get to that light, and so my daily practice of that. But I would also say that, as a physical therapist, I also made sure that I have daily movement, because you need that, right? You need the movement to move the muscles, move the water, the other things. And then nutrition is also very big component when you're trying to heal all these things, right?
Sure,
Because you're releasing all these toxins, energetic toxins, spiritual toxins, all these things that. So seeing that light, and I was told to jump when I got to the light, open the door, you jump in that. And so that whole year, I was shown this beautiful thing, where the synchronicity, right? The more you're in that flow and then alignment with the energy, the people come in to take you to that higher level. They help you to resolve things. They help you to move you forward in what you do. But also, what it had shown me was that my habits and patterns, where my biggest thing was my inaction for whatever it was, right? Because I'm sitting there, I'm trying to be good, I'm trying to please everyone, but it's who is it harming? It's harming myself. And, sometimes you demand for respect, you demand love, you demand all those things. But what it made me realize was that I personally didn't respect myself.
yeah, I'm so familiar with that. Yeah, looking to the outside to get the validation, which, as we're learning, as we go through these discovery processes, right, and developments, it's not about them at all.
No,
And
no,
actually, the people outside, they might come across as a bit fickle, right? Where you think you've built up that respect and
yeah,
and that depth, and then suddenly something changes, and you're like, wait a minute, I can't stand on that, right?
right,
Got to
right.
find something else to stand on.
Yeah, and it's like you cannot, and that's what it is. You cannot satisfy anybody else. The only person you can satisfy is yourself, right? With everything.
Right, right.
And yeah, and so really that love, I was like, what is love? I'm asking for love. I asked my husband for love. I asked everybody else to love me. I personally don't know what I want, right? It's like, okay, what does love really mean to me? And do I love myself? And people say, yeah, I love myself. I'm this. No. Like, we think 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day. How many thoughts are about yourself criticizing yourself?
They say it's on the average more than 80% negative. That's
Absolutely.
my understanding. and that's probably not anyone's fault, right? It's just how it
Yeah,
turned out. Perhaps it's the world's input
yeah,
to us,
exactly.
and the lack of our own action toward
Right.
the direction of generating that positivity, where we could flip that equation over to the other side, right?
Yeah. And so just learning these blockages and how it came and, so then knowing that, no matter what, I was confident. It's like showing me these dualities of myself. This person that is really, out there and advocating for patients, advocating for my siblings, standing up for everybody, but yet I'm not standing up for myself.
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I love you more than I love myself. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I love myself more? So
Isn't
those
that
are some
interesting?
of
Yeah,
the,
and that becomes a bit of a hollowness, right?
yeah,
Where without the self love, that you may be able to give them something, but it's costing you
right.
every
And
time you do that.
yeah, and if you don't know what love is, you can't give it, right? You can't give anybody what you don't have or what you don't know about, right?
Exactly.
And that's why I would always get burnt out with everything. Even at work, I'm giving. I come home, I'm still, as physical therapist, like, oh, I'm hurting here. My back is hurting. Can you see my leg is hurting? So I'm like constantly giving. Kids are crying, and so it's almost like I'm two different person. Where at work I'm the sensitive. I listen. I give my 100%. I come home. I don't want to hear my kids crying. I was like, it's not, you're not dying, you're not bleeding, you're okay.
Right,
So
right, right.
attachment and being so insensitive to my babies.
But
And
it's not a lack of sensitivity, right? It's actually that you've depleted resources
yeah,
by working through the workday, and as I know from my own workplace, the workplace is very demanding, and it'll take everything you can provide and more. So yeah, I mean it's a matter of just simple exhaustion, right?
yeah, and sometimes I don't want to talk even when I come back, and I work literally, I only work 5 6 hours. But I worked at the hospital, so that was one thing. But seeing this, so with physical therapy, I knew that I was really into talking about workout. That's the only thing that you can, it's good. And you need to lose weight, you need to work out. Then I discovered the nutrition because my kids used to be sick all the time. And when I started doing holistic nutrition, the things started shifting so much for us. They started becoming well. We didn't have to go to
Outstanding.
the doctor's office, this whole discovery of, I was like, I cannot, and with Reiki, all this together, it's like I cannot keep this in me. I loved what I do as a physical therapist, but I have to share this with people. And then I started doing on my own time. I would do Reiki on patients that had stroke, patients that had total hip, total knee, and I would just give them Reiki, put the music on, and just place my hands on them, and let the energy flow. And what started happening was that they had more clarity. The next day I came in, even with aphasia, even with they're not able to speak, they're not able to understand. They had clarity. They focus, and they were able to do so much more. And then there is out there research done where people go into surgery. Before they go into surgery, they do Reiki. While they're in surgery, they do Reiki, and after, the outcome is so much faster. Like the recovery is faster, pain is less, focus, clarity is there, and so anxiety
Sure.
is less.
Yeah, because really you've provided more resources, right? Higher levels of energy to handle all the healing processes, as well as to reduce the trauma, and,
Right.
and be a more productive participant in whatever needed to happen there for the healing process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite special.
Yeah.
All right, that's neat. Now, as we were discussing before the show actually began, you've actually taken some of this beyond their traditional, right? So we can't just study the Usui method and
Yeah.
get there, right? What would you say as you move forward into what you call more like light energy healing? What have you discovered as you continue to develop?
Yeah, so I feel that so when Reiki starts, so if you find out, now that you've heard about Reiki, you'll meet more people that have done Reiki. There's so many people that start out with Reiki. They learn that, and it's like that energy, and anybody can do it. If we rub our hands and then we do this, we have this biomagnetic field, right?
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Like,
Yeah, I think this is like a chi exercise too,
yeah,
right? Where you build the chi ball
exactly.
in your hand, right? Yeah.
And you can feel this magnetic pull and push.
Yeah.
And then you can make a ball out. You can take it up and shower yourself, and you'll feel that energy coming through and stuff. So it's like we all have this ability to heal ourselves. And so what I do is I just show them how to. It's like switching that switch on, you know. But when I started doing this, I started discovering that I have these ability to just know things that are going to happen, or about people, like the genuineness, and it's not like I go, and I'm not a medium where I'll go and I just know things about you. I'm not a psychic. But sometimes it's that awareness that just comes in all of a sudden, or I would just say something. And sometimes before, it used to be like, my husband or someone, why would you say something like that? And I was like, I don't know. It just came out, you know?
And those are the best comments, right? They're meant for the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is that, and then it would come out true, and they were like, see, you jinxed it. And I was like, no, but I just knew, like,
Yeah.
2019, I wanted him to help me. I do these health fairs, and I was really stressed out. He's really great marketing person. And he would just stand, and he would really bring all these customers and clients for me. And so he plays cricket, and so his team was going into playoff, and then if they won the playoff, they would be in finals. And so I meditated on it, and I was told, don't worry, he'll be there.
Okay.
Which means that they were going to lose the playoff.
Don't tell him that up front.
And I told him, and
oh
he
no,
was so upset, and he lost. He's like, it's all because of you. So that's just one example. But so these knowings, and when I do the Reiki, I have this sense of I can smell sometimes, I can hear, I can see. My visions are. I'm more visual person, so I can see visions and things. So. And these visual cues that I'm able to shift and change these energies within people's body, and release all these blockages. And I cannot explain to you that how I do it, but it's just the way. It's just kind of visual, and kind of feeling, moving these energies around. And so if I lay my hands on you, you'll feel the heat, like intense heat coming through to heal whatever it is.
Nice.
Or you will feel the muscle kind of jump, or you will feel the energy move inside your arm and things, and or that tingling feeling and things. So sometimes it is very intense. Like just a couple of weeks ago, I had someone, and she's like, that was very intense. And so it's growing, the more I meditate on this, the more deeper I go, the deeper the healing happens for other people too. So what will happen is, say they're stuck in something, be it losing weight, be it healing some past trauma. So I also do past lives and generational healing and things, and where blockages are there, but sometimes you're not able to move that. So you go to the root cause, and sometimes the root cause is from your past lives and things.
Interesting. So, and as I understand, just based on what you're saying, when you encounter someone new, and you wish to support them with this kind of healing, you may not know what the plan is, right? But you just start, and the plan forms as you're proceeding to get the energy signature, and then apply the techniques that you've learned.
Absolutely. Definitely. So the thing is that, just like physical therapy, if you've broken something, you go to, like, you have these sessions, right? You go for 2 to 3 times a week for 4 to 6 weeks. Same thing with Reiki. It doesn't just clear everything in one session. It takes time. And every session is different. It looks different. Sometimes you could be just sleeping through it. Sometimes you could be crying through it because that's the release that it needed, because it goes deep. And sometimes you have these visions of certain events that had happened in your life with someone, and it comes into awareness so that you can release it. Certain traumas that has happened as a kid, everything is magnified, and when
Definitely.
you realize that you are stuck right now in this adult life because you haven't healed that from the past. The abuses, it could be, it could be just simple things, but yet as a kid it's magnified. So
Isn't that interesting? And the way I mean, I'm reading between the lines a little bit because my understanding of Reiki and similar disciplines is limited. But it seems that there's still the individual that you're working with still needs to participate, because the process or the methodology brings all of these hidden what would you call stressors or obstacles to the surface, but it's that person that needs to go ahead and okay, just release it, right?
yeah. Well,
Wow.
absolutely, because sometimes it's tiring. So sometimes they're exhausted. They go home like, what did I just go through, and they want, I tell them to drink water, just like massage, all this toxicity coming out, just drink water, breathe in. I give them affirmations, whatever comes up. I also use crystals. I use singing bowls, so sound therapy and things like that. But I also show them ways and tell them, to how to ground themselves. Um, because which is very necessary. Like every day we're bombarded by these stimuli in life, and we're always go, go, go. So to calm, yeah, right?
Cell phone, right?
Exactly. Everything, right? And you're constantly doing that. And so how do you so whatever comes for them, what do they need to do? I also work with them in terms of my clients, in terms of I do a little bit of Ho'oponopono, if you know, which is
Oh, I am familiar with this. Yes. Uh-huh. It's
so I'm
uh,
sorry. Please.
yeah, forgiveness method, right? Yeah, and
I love
particularly self
you.
forgiveness. Yeah.
I love you. I thank you because it is so important to when we are angry at someone, it's really you're angry at yourself. That's what I've found. That why didn't I stand up for myself? Why did I not, um, be in that position, or why didn't I do something about it, or whatever it is that your why is. Not
Absolutely.
blaming, so that, but something that you can change it and shift. So absolutely, the client has to be 100% ready to heal themselves and shift in that. There's also chances of healing crisis, so to speak, to happen. There's also something healing crisis, or what it's called is dark night of the soul, that happens sometimes.
Okay, the time of trial, I suppose, right?
Well, what it is like you find out so many things about yourself, and it's like you almost find this ground. You feel like you're all the way bottom of the barrel, and then you're trying to come out, and it's like you're going deeper and deeper down, and then you find another bottom that you never thought that it was. And so, just finding this out and releasing everything, it's hard. Sometimes you feel like you're stuck, you freeze, right? You get paralyzed by all these things that are happening.
Oh,
Uh,
of course. It's just a different method of overwhelm, right? It's not a it's like a spiritual overwhelm, right, if you will.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so how do you get past that? So I do spiritual mentoring, and I take them through. I teach Reiki. My mission is to teach people so that, equip them. They already have the healing capacity. We all do. And so just to have this modality, so to speak, to work with it so that they can use it in their daily life.
That's cool. So as I understand, you're providing the focus elements and the methodology and the process for
Right.
them to continue a self-healing journey that extends far beyond your visitor or consult with them.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
truly outstanding. And for folks out there that may wish to get a hold of Hamali, I've got her information streaming on the bottom here, but I'm going to read it off for those participating only on audio. So it is simply www.hamalivora.com. That's HEMALIVORA.com. On Facebook, it's Coach Hamali, and email address hamalivora1, the number one, at gmail.com. So one final question, Hamali, if you've still got a moment. We've already been going for quite a long time. I really appreciate all of the time and support and all of this information. This is definitely a watch or listen to 3 or 4 times episode to get everything out of it, and then to reach out to you to consult and get some more. For individuals that realize that they're just not calm, they're stressed out,
Yeah.
and they're needing to find their way to a center of calmness, what would you say are the first couple steps in finding their way toward calmness from high stress levels?
Calmness. I think the first thing is to take a step back and just breathe.
Breathe. Okay.
Yeah. Very important, right? Just take that breath in and just slow down. Like, it's almost like taking a step back and just realizing from everything and just breathe. And that will resolve just a little bit, and be kind to yourself, be compassionate towards yourself. You're enough, and you deserve the world.
Wow, 6 different elements. And if folks would just incline their ear for just a moment and hear, I don't know if you can repeat all those in sequence again, but those are very, you're like, no, can't do that. Such an awesomeness, right? Take a step back and relax. And that's a big part of my system as well, is that, and it's not just taking a step back, but it's finding that space.
Yes.
And whatever it takes to find that space. If you got to go on a mountain pilgrimage, then you do that. Or if you can find a little corner of your office just for a moment, just find that space to that's just your own.
And go in the bathroom and take a breath.
Sure.
Where
take a breath, to begin the process of realizing where you actually are.
Yeah.
And then begin the healing process from there.
Yeah.
That is, and then the rest of it, the affirmation of that this is your place and time. It's you, and you are enough, and everything else, the kindness and self-compassion, which neutralize the self-critic. All that put together, wow, that's what you call integrated healing.
Yeah.
Outstanding. And we have had so many folks with us today. This has been a well-attended live stream this whole time. So everyone attending, Shelley, Gail, Dwayne, April, and others as well. I'm sure that they just haven't commented. And those of you who haven't commented, comment next time.
Yes.
We'll be waiting for you. Any final words, Hamali, before we close this episode out?
Well, I want to wish you happy birthday. Thank you for doing this on your birthday. Really appreciate it. I really had great time. But anyone that want to, do a 15-minute free consult to see if you would like a healing session with me, I am available, and I do distant healing too. We can do it over Zoom, FaceTime, or Messenger. Just reach out.
I bet Zoom never thought that they were part of a distance healing system. Don't tell them. The price will go up.
That's right.
That's awesome. Well, Hamali, it was such a pleasure that you joined me here today, and I consider it a birthday present. So this has been great, and such an honor and a pleasure to have this opportunity. Let me throw the last few comments up here before we leave. Dwayne Lair says, really great information. Awesome. Gail is thankful. And April Redbird, such a great show today. So this has worked out great, Hamali. I look forward, perhaps, you've shared such a wealth of information. Perhaps you might be willing to join us again at some point.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. Thank you.
Awesome. I look forward to that.
All right.
And for the Center of Calmness, I'm DK Warner.